This episode of Boys in the Burgh is sponsored by the Public Broadcasting Station.
And is supported by viewers like you.
Yeah. Welcome to Boys in the Burgh, the podcast all about Pittsburgh, not sponsored by PBS, and about these boys right here, city of Pittsburgh. And as today, we talk about Kennywood Memories.
Yeah,
not our personal
I'm
memories.
excited.
Not our personal memories. The Kennywood Memories VHS tape? You want to call it that?
Sure, we'll call it that.
Yeah. I am Chris Speranza.
I'm JJ Speranza, and PBS, we got our eyes on you, so hopefully one day, presented by PBS.
Yeah, we know Randy Cole. We know him now. We know about him. So, yeah, today's episode, we're going to talk about Kennywood Memories, the PBS documentary that was put out by a person that we interviewed recently, Rick Sebak. And we are going to just kind of break it down. But before we get started, just some housekeeping. Figure I do this right at the top of the episodes now. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Boys in the Burgh. You can also follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to give that a potato patch smash with the 5 stars. And be sure to give us a quick comment, a quick review. Anything like that. Anything to help us out. And as I always say, I appreciate you. If you listen to 5 minutes or 1 hour, I appreciate you.
We both do, very much.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Here was my first question before I started watching this documentary. Because I went to find the Kennywood Memories on YouTube, and I thought I was going to be able to find it easily. But how did you find it?
Well, I went through PBS. I'm a member of PBS Pittsburgh, PBS North Carolina, and it was on there for free, luckily. So I watched the whole thing online.
Yeah, and then it got me thinking, I've watched this documentary. Everything started becoming nostalgic when, they show the caption, Kennywood Memories, with the girl screaming in the background the whole time. And I was like, where have we first started watching this? Because it was on VHS, but then it finally hit me. Elementary school.
5th grade, before the first school picnic.
They would roll out the TVs, just like how we remember, and they would play. It'd probably be like Friday, the day before school's over, and they would just play that just to get you hyped up for Kennywood.
Yeah, I remember sitting in Mr. DiNapoli's room for his elementary school watching this tape.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's definitely bled into my amusement park. Theme parks are different.
Exactly. I do want to throw out there, this is our first Rick Sebak special that we're breaking down. Hopefully the first of many. So I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, this is the first of our series, of someone else's series.
The series of the Rick Sebak series.
So we have a lot of notes to get to, so let's just go ahead and get right into it.
Yeah.
So how do you want to do this? Chronologically?
I would like to go chronologically, starting with the beginning, where it's actually a WQED production from September 30th, 1988.
Yeah, I was just thinking that because I used to think it was a 90s. I almost said DVD. I thought it was a 90s VHS tape, but it is 1988.
1980, and you can tell by the fashion, it's still. Have you ever heard the term the decade you're in, the fashion and the actual feeling of that decade doesn't start until 4 or 5 years in?
Yeah, it's the hair also. Everyone's
the hair, the clothing.
Everyone's hair, everyone's clothing, even the things that they said, being the girls that played Kenny Kangaroo, they were just unless you're Madonna or someone like that, and it's that is such a thing for the time. Right now, people would be yeah, I feel like Chaperone right now.
I don't know who that is.
Oh my
god! But yeah, you're right. There's such a huge difference between back then and now, and I loved the calliope. You know what that is, calliope, Chris?
Yeah, that's what the Beethoven guy would play. They nicknamed him Beethoven. And that was one of my notes. What do you call it? The gazebo. That gazebo like has nothing there anymore.
Oh, I have his name written down, but we're gonna get to it eventually. The guy who they call um, Gazebo, or I'm sorry, the guy they call Beethoven. But yeah, the Calliope at the beginning just sets it immediately. People talking about their memories, and yeah, you're right. Like right off the bat, screaming children saying "Welcome to Kennywood."
My first note that I have on here is Laughing Sal right off the bat.
Oh, and they don't talk about her at all. Just a little bit in the beginning.
No, they don't. It's just her in the beginning in the worst camera angle you can think of, just laughing into the camera.
But it was cool because I think she's still there, and she's like one of the last ones left in America.
Yeah, and another thing I noticed was there's a lot of rides. Talk about its age, like 1988. That there's a lot of rides that were on there that I was like, I haven't seen those rides ever at Kennywood since my time of going, but I have seen them a lot at Idlewild.
Uh huh.
So some of the examples I have on here: the Ferris wheel, the Caterpillar ride, which is the one that goes in a circle and then a giant tarp like goes over top of you. And then we'll also talk about the many moments where they talked about in the documentary. Yeah, I used to make out with this girl over here on this ride, or like we blow air up the girl's skirts.
I like the one Italian lady that went. We would go necking in the pavilion. Like, what?
The moments that made me go out loud say, "What?" Those were my notes. Those were the notes I took.
I have some crazy deep dives on some weird things because like there were some things that would come up in the background that's still there today, and I have like some info on them. So like, so you and I were never around in Kennywood for the laser loop. They tore that down in 1990.
Now, do you know where the laser loop location was?
Oh no, I don't actually. Where was that at?
I don't know either.
No.
I don't know. All I know is like where the turnpike was, the very Disneyland like ride. The turnpike, which was a quote that was used.
It was.
Yeah. Uh, Talking about Autopia, which is the relation to that in Disneyland, or the Tomorrowland something ride. But yeah, that's where the Skyrocket is now.
I'm actually happy you brought that up. There is some, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but there is a gentleman who I copied like the thing he was talking about, but I guess Kennywood was kind of an inspiration for Disney World because Kennywood came first. It was one of the like top parks in the entire country, and Disney World kind of took some like notes from it. So I thought that was pretty cool. We'll talk about that a little bit later though.
1899. That's when Kennywood was established as a trolley park.
Sit on a bluff in above the Monongahela River in West Mifflin, PA.
Yeah. Do you think Walt Disney went to Kennywood?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. So the reason why I said amusement park and not theme park is because an amusement park, a theme park that just opened in Orlando, the first one since 2001, which was Animal Kingdom. That was Disney's California Adventure in California. Epic Universe opened, which is a Universal park where they have 4 different lands, where it's How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Burgh, Ministry of Magic, Harry Potter, Super Nintendo World, and Universal Monsters. So I've been watching a lot of that lately. So I've been on a kick of like watching vloggers there and then watching Kennywood Memories.
Wow, is there a big difference? Understandable.
There's a reason why they call it a
30 years.
There's a reason why they call it a theme park. There's a reason why they call it an amusement park.
That makes sense. Yeah. Man, yeah, that makes sense. I can't even imagine what the parks are nowadays, what they're like.
They're crazy. But speaking of like how parks were like back then, we got to start with Geno.
Oh, Gino and the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, so they start off right off the bat, and Rick Sebak even talked to us about this. That became one of the most famous lines. Like, you all right, Gino?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was so crazy. That came up immediately in my brain when I saw him slip. I was like, Rick talked about that. We talked about that with Rick.
It was very sitcom-like, where it was like, you all right, Gino? Yeah, and the camera just cuts to the guy just underneath the track like, you sure? Yeah, I'm okay.
Those 2 guys, Gino and I did not write the other guy's name, but they looked like the quintessential Yinzers from the 1980s.
Everybody talked with that Pittsburgh accent.
Right? So
Every
thick.
single person. And I even put the note that what was it? They were talking to someone about Kennywood, and the guy was just like, "Kennywood will always be there. Kennywood will never go away. It's just
Mhm.
there."
Yeah, I forget I wrote his name down too, but man, that's they do get into Frank Weber, who is in charge of the Thunderbolt. He worked there for like 51 years. He actually passed away August 26th of 2020 at 87 years old.
Yeah, and just from watching the other two documentaries, which is That Kennywood Summer and also Don't Stand Up, which are two not like extra footage documentaries of Kennywood Memories that was made in 2018, and they are wonderful. Rick Sebak, when he talks about, we didn't want people to wave at the camera, but nowadays I wish I could just wave back to them, and it's like, ah, and that's how it ended. And it was like 2 in the morning when I was watching this, and I was like, ah.
My feels.
But okay, back to Gino real quick. Some of the notes I had was loose spikes question mark.
There were some questionable things they had to check for back in those days.
Yeah, and then also how they how the very famous thing, which is Gino strapping himself not into the straps, but him standing up on the Thunderbolt. And first of all, that big bend that it does by the potato patch fries and everything, that's not a that's not slow.
It's not for the faint of heart, and he was leaning over the front of it. I could see why you wanted to talk to Rick about that because, man, I couldn't do it.
No. And also the very fun thing that I found out. I know you got a lot of notes, but I want to tell you
No, we both do. Please go ahead.
I want to tell you this one thing. So I watched the other documentary, and it was a close up on interviewing Gino. Do you know the shirt Gino had on?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
It was a Sergeant Slaughter shirt,
Huh.
and there was a cobra on it, and it said Cobra Clutch.
Outstanding. That is amazing.
I looked at that shirt and I was like, hold on. Like I said, I was watching this at 1 or 2 in the morning, and I just rewinded. I'm like, no way. I'm telling JJ, there's a wrestling shirt? How Yinzer?
I mean, dude, wrestling in the 80s and 90s in Pittsburgh was as big as the almost as big as the Steelers.
Yeah, good phrase there.
Thank you.
And what about the thing in the Penny Arcade where it's the thing on a reel and it just goes and it shows different things? And the guy
There's
was
the
like,
wrestler.
studio wrestling.
Yeah, man. For anyone who doesn't know, Chris is a semi-professional wrestler named Lewis, so he has a lot of knowledge about this stuff.
Semi-professional, or I don't know where my career is right now, but we could talk about that later.
That's a different episode.
Yes. So do you have anything to say about Gino and anything else that they did? They do come back and in the documentary and check out the laser loop and just climb it like a ladder.
I know. Oh my gosh. I could not work in an amusement park because I am terrified of heights. If I had the ability to fly, I could probably do it, but no, I'm not I'm not doing that. I do want to talk about the next thing they do after the Thunderbolt is they talk about the Kennywood Gardens and the big clock and calendar, which was where Thomastown is now. Do you remember those?
I remember seeing it in the documentary, but I never remembered seeing it in person. But that is interesting. That I did not know that's where Well, it's not Thomastown anymore. It's called Kennywood Junction now.
Oh,
They must have lost the licensing or something, or licensing expired. I don't know.
I mean, they did just get a brand new owner, so who knows?
Oh, I'm sorry, Palace Entertainment. You're out.
You out. You out.
You out. But do you remember it?
I do. I do. I remember when I was in elementary school, maybe middle school. We would walk past the clock to see what time it is because it was on the way to the Thunderbolt. And my buddy Tim and I rode the Thunderbolt like I want to say like 25 times in one summer, and that was like our meeting place for mom and dad. Like meet them there, make sure we're all good, and they were always really beautiful. They stopped doing it, but I hope they bring it back.
Yeah, like surprisingly, like what was the one thing that they said that it was very reminiscent of European parks.
Yes, they compared it to a park over in Copenhagen, and I have it in my notes somewhere. But yeah, and it was a beautiful park in Copenhagen too. I think it's still there. I meant to do research on that, and I forgot to.
Because if you do think about it, like Epic Universe that just opened. So how Epic Universe works is there's a center area called Celestial Park. And the theming of this amusement park is there's different portals that you could go to the different sections of the park. So that's how you get to Super Mario World and this and that. So the Celestial Park, they meant for it to be very green and very natural with like a roller coaster or two there. So the fact that Kennywood is like that, it when Epic Universe released that, they said we're putting the park back in theme park, and Kennywood's been like that. Because I remember just walking around one day and just being like, "This is really nice." Just walking around.
It is, and they talk about Rick talks about that in 1988. He talked about it, saying like it's just a great place to walk around too. If you're like you don't want to ride anything, get some food and relax. It's a great place.
There is something that they did say in there too about because it was a trolley park. That's why there's plenty of parking like to this day.
Ah, which I guess they're putting in more parking.
Where I when I went to Fright Night or sorry Fall Fest, I ended up parking in a spot I didn't even know existed.
Was it way up top of the hill?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
gold parking, and then there was the other upper lot, and then there was one more upper lot, which
Hmm.
I didn't even know existed. Which I guess that's where the thingy the ski
The
lift,
gondola.
yeah, the ski lift.
Oh, sorry. That's what I meant.
But the ski lift would like take you up there, but that doesn't exist anymore.
It's not there anymore.
No, it's not there anymore. I
Man.
can tell you that because I walked from the very bottom back to the top.
Yeah, the rumor is they're putting in a parking garage of some sort.
What? I didn't know
So
that.
we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of cars,
What's your
they
source?
I will text you because I have it on my phone. My phone's not near me right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. But speaking of
No,
cars,
yeah, the bumper cars. They showed that, and they showed the old school bumper cars, and I loved when the guy was like, "It ain't like it used to be, but it's still good."
that was the funniest thing about the documentary. Like just a bunch of old people that all wore shirt and ties. All of them. Even the old lady that was in the Lost and Found.
She was sweet.
Like they're all walking around saying like it's not how it used to be, and that was in 1988, and here we are in 2025 just watching it being like it's not how it used to be.
Nope.
Different.
Oh man, so crazy. They did talk about that Kennywood is 10 miles up the Monongahela River from downtown Pittsburgh, which is pretty cool. I didn't realize it was that close to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 10 miles from Monongahela River. Yeah,
I don't know
even
why I
though
thought
that's
it was
what you just said.
I thought it was further away for some reason. But the land was owned by the Kenny family where coal was mined, but it was most known for the groves of oak and maple trees. And this is back in like what, 1890 when it was first like becoming a property?
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong with that because that was part of the documentary.
I mean, I wasn't listening. It was 1 in the morning when I
Oh,
was
well,
watching.
allow me. It was called Kenny's Grove, and there was picnicking at the Civil War era. So during the Civil War, Kennywood was a thing. Kenny's Woods.
That's crazy.
Or Kenny's Groves, I'm sorry. But you're right, it became a trolley park in 1898, and then Andrew Carnegie is credited with naming it Kennywood Park.
That's right. I do remember that because there was like a debate on there. And I was just like, he claims that he named it Kennywood Park. Like it was on there.
And, all my sourcing is Rick Sebak, just so you know.
Yeah.
Oh man! And then they showed the. I thought it was cool. They showed the Kennywood Park waltz that was made by
Mhm.
Margaretha Scandaroli.
Yeah. And then they had like the granddaughter, like with the music sheets
It was so cool.
saying like, "Yep, this is what my grandma or my mom would play," and that was pretty neat. I do like so during this series where we sporadically decide to watch Rick Sebak stuff. I think I'll slowly start to learn that I do enjoy watching like the history of stuff. You know what I mean? Like seeing like how it started and everything like that.
Pittsburgh is so seeped in history that it's like everything, music, food, buildings, everything is so like anything could mean something. And I think that's why it's for me it's really cool to watch Rick Sebak documentaries because he dives into all of that stuff.
Yeah. And what else do I have? One of the things that made me say out like laugh out loud was Rick Sebak saying like people have died here.
Yes, I heard that too. It's not all fun. People have died. Now, he talked about the 1968 someone was thrown from the Thunderbolt, but I always remember someone had died on the racer. What do you remember?
I remember the legend was that someone went to jump from one racer to the other, which in this documentary I found out the racer is one track. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And the legend is someone went to jump from one side to the other, and then they put that sign there that said "Do not stand, or you will die." People have died.
So crazy. I mean, it's an amusement park. I mean, that it happens.
Like in Disney, like if you they will run you out. They will resuscitate you and perform CPR until you're outside of the park and they'll be like, "Yeah, you didn't die in Disney, so, sorry." Like Kennywood, they embrace it. They put a sign there that were like, "People have died doing this."
It's part of the danger of it. You never know.
It's part of the danger. Like where you're sitting right now is where a 14-year-old in 1950 tried to
Oh my God.
jump from one side to the other and died.
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
I did write. So they talk about the wave swinger a little bit, which is cool because I always like the wave swinger.
I like that girl. She's really cool.
Yeah, and then Chris Snyder, her boss, showed up, and I wrote, "Who wears short shorts? Chris wears short shorts."
Now, my question was, and I know they don't, but I was like, do they still operate inside the wave swinger? The answer is no. But I'm just like, but what's in there now?
What is in there now?
I don't know.
Oh, that would be interesting to know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that they showed in this documentary that like it's either just locked up, like the girls that did the Kennywood kangaroo. There's changing rooms. I don't think are there anymore.
Yeah, these are a lot of places that I'm just like, I would like to explore like these locations legally. But I would like to explore these places, but it's just like the picture I showed you from the one documentary, I think it was Don't Stand Up, where there was a putt-putt course where near the potato patch fries.
Which is great. The I found out the giant pool was where Lost Kennywood is.
The giant pool. Oh, the swimming pool.
Yeah, that's where like it's like the flat wherever it's really flat in Lost Kennywood. That's where the pool was by the parking lot.
Well, one thing that I noticed on there, and I put a note on there too, the fountain that's right there, right in front of like the potato, like the not the potato patch fries, but like the other one,
Small fries,
small fries.
I think.
That fountain right there, that looks like it's the one that was in the pool.
That would make sense. Now, that may be I will have to research that, but I did find out that um the snack bar that was at the pool is actually over by the potato patch. It's one of the food places over there.
I would really like to travel back in time and see this pool. It didn't look interesting, to be honest. It just looked like a giant pool that people could just go into with sand beaches, which I couldn't imagine how chaotic that was in the water.
We're kind of jumping ahead, but the pool was also it was like a football field and a half long or wide and long. It was huge. So imagine all that sand in there and trying to clean all that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's insane. But yeah, we are jumping ahead. Where do you want to continue at?
Let's see. I wrote in here East Allegheny bus jump scare.
I saw that too. I was gonna make a note of that, and they're just like, they were talking just like lots of people come here for their school picnics, and it was just like East Allegheny. I'm like, oh my god, like it's so weird watching those videos back and being like, he's wearing a Pitt shirt, and like that person's wearing like a Steelers jersey, and that's East Allegheny. It's like watching back old footage from like your like camera that you hold on your shoulder.
It's like home movies.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Home movies. Sorry for that East Allegheny scare. I wanted to put my 2 cents in
Yeah.
there with that.
No, you're good. Actually, the third member of Boys in the Burgh that is not on, he is from like he went to East Allegheny.
Yeah, and he sure did. He was not in that bus. I know that.
No, he was not. That was 1980. He was a.
He wasn't even
You
born
know
yet.
what? There's a joke there. I'm not going to make it though.
He wasn't even a thought yet.
Thank you. Yeah, and then the next thing I have, just history wise, so it became Kennywood Park Unlimited, owned by Andrew McSwiggan and Frederick Henninger, and the Kenny family owned the property until 1971, sold to Kennywood Park Corporation, and then it goes right into Good Morning Kennywood.
Afro Circus. Okay. So
Have you ever heard the saying that the world looks brighter, like the colors look brighter whenever you're a kid, and whenever you're an adult, like the colors start to dim a little bit?
that's because we get older and our vision starts to go bad.
There is that. But watching that part where they're playing the music and showing everyone having a good time, I was like rose-colored glasses again. I was like, this is amazing.
So they do straight up like play that. Like one time I was working for the radio station and I had a table set up, and all of a sudden I'm just sitting there, I get set up, and all of a sudden I hear, "Good morning, Kennywood." I'm like, "What? Oh, this is real?"
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So they do legit play that every single morning.
I do want to ask you. So the next thing they go into is the Jackrabbit, and it was built in 1921. That's when it was made for like $50,000. Did you like the
The price of a car.
Yeah, seriously. I think in today's it's like $100,000 or something like that. No, it's much more than that.
Go ahead.
But no, my question is, did you like the Jackrabbit?
I do have a note in here about the first time, the first roller coaster I ever rode was the Racers, actually. And I cried afterwards. I was like, I am never riding a roller coaster again. And then next thing you know, you and I, however many years ago, like 6 years ago, we were at Cedar Point. Like
We sure were.
we rode like every roller coaster there. But yeah, the Jackrabbit, I'm not gonna lie, I've only ridden in the front one time.
Mm. What'd you
And
think?
you can hear it on that double dip. It's just like like it is a pause.
Yes, there is. And it's like right after that tunnel, because they did rebuild that tunnel. They took it out and put it back in when you go up and then down. And man, I always found it terrifying. I rode it with Christy, our sister, when we were kids, and she almost flew up and out of the stinking seat.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that. You had to like drag her back down.
I did. Now, I had a quick, deep thought for you. Have you ever heard of the ship of Theseus?
Is that like from the Odyssey?
No, it's a thought of this. So, if every part of a ship is replaced over time, is it still the same ship? AKA, the Jackrabbit was basically completely like just all the wood has been replaced. It's like always being renovated. Is it still the Jackrabbit? Is it still the same ride?
That's a great deep question. Yes, I think it is.
Those of you listening, let us know. Let us know what you think of the ship of Theseus, aka the ship of the Jackrabbit.
The concept is still there.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I think it's still the Jackrabbit, even if pieces are missing. Because if those pieces were still there, it would be rattling pretty bad. It's like when the one historian that they talked to was just like, and then the Racers, it comes over top of you and it feels like the whole building is shaking, and it's like, oh, is this really going to hold together? How old is this ride? Don't worry, it was held by a cinder block at one point, and they fixed that.
Oh, speaking of that guy, was that Charles J. Jackways Jr.?
I didn't write down any names, so I'm gonna.
Oh man, the dude that they talked to next, his name is Charles J. Jackways Jr., and he's the real like excited guy. He passed away May 10th, 2022 at 82 years old.
Oh, he seemed like such a fun guy too.
I know, right? When he talks about the turtles, it's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, he's just like, what's the word that he says? Where he's just like, oh, you just go, what? Like, he's like going with it. He moved like a turtle, to be honest, like during that.
He went, "You always say 'aw' at the end of the ride.'"
Yeah. Now, I think I told you this. When you go on the ride now, there's a noise that goes turtle, 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 turtle. Like,
Are you serious?
yes, you'll have to ride it again when you come back here.
I do want to go to Kennywood and just check it all out again. Oh man, did you know about the Westview amusement park that closed in 1977?
They did make a quick mention of that. I forget what they said about that.
It just closed. Like it was the other amusement park in Pittsburgh, and it just closed down.
Mm. Yeah, they did make mention of that, and I think when I when you go, this is going to be a real stretch. When you go to Carnegie Science Center, they have a section there where there's a train, like a train section, and you follow the train, and you get to the end, and they have little, figurines and little stuff, houses and everything, like a train set would be. And they do have an amusement park at one of the ends. And I was like, oh, this is Kennywood. But I think it was actually that park. I think.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And they were just like, this used to be what would you say, West End?
Westview.
Westview. Because I guess it used to have the same entrance as Old Kennywood does now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's something pretty fun. So, how about the food? They said potato patch fries are the best in America at one point.
They sure did, and I wrote "potato patch baby."
I wrote down my other favorite line that made me say "what," which was keeping patrons fat.
I mean, he's not wrong. It's all fried food. There's nothing there that's healthy for you, but it's all good amusement park food.
Yeah, and the corn dog booth where they do funnel cake now and no longer corn dogs. First of all, that was very nostalgic. Do you remember what the name of the booth was?
No, but I think that was the booth that was at the pool.
It's called the Lucky.
The Lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Guess where I learned that?
Where'd you learn that?
From the documentary we were watching.
See, this is why we watched it separately, because we both pick up on different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so just my favorite line was keeping patrons fat.
He emphasized that fat.
He sure did emphasize that. But why would they move the corn dog stand? Was it just too busy? Like having a line in the middle of the park there?
I mean, the lines for the corn dog and the lines for the potato patch would meet sometimes because they'd both be so busy.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where are you in line for this? What are you in line for?
It is. So Rick Sebak did say when we interviewed him that giant arm that cuts the potatoes. Could you imagine? They go through 1 to 2.5 pound or tons of potatoes a day.
That's nuts. Like I go to cut yet when I make dinner, I make yellow potatoes because they're easier to cut and they cook in 20 minutes, so it's easy. Bake in 20 minutes if I'm being more specific. But I cut like 5 potatoes and I'm like, I'm done.
They're just like there's a reason why they're all so skinny that work in there because they're just slicing away.
It's like Quagmire when he discovers internet porn and just the one arm is like bigger than the other.
Just from slicing away. I did want to say,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just gonna get my mail over there.
Just a giant arm. It was they did a little montage of people eating food, and I wrote down all the food that they ate in the montage.
Oh, hit me with it.
So corn dogs, French fries with cheese, ice cream, but it was like soft serve ice cream.
Yeah. I don't think they said that chocolate dipped ice cream was like we thought it was an iconic Pittsburgh thing, but they didn't talk about it.
They didn't. I was surprised at that. But yeah, I was looking for it the whole time too. Hot sausage with peppers and onions, which looked amazing. Then there was French fries with brown gravy.
We went over this because I think they do that at the potato patch fries still, putting gravy on it or vinegar.
Oh, that we did talk about that. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I don't know how I could go to a theme park and just have gravy. I don't know.
Oh, and last thing was funnel cake.
Yeah, because when I did go to Disney World, there was a restaurant called the Treehouse Tavern, and the theming of that was that it was Thanksgiving every single day. So You got like it was uh served in family portions, and it was just me and Carissa. So they just came with like plates of turkey, plates of stuffing, plates of mashed potatoes, and they're like, "Yeah, you just take it."
In case you guys who are listening don't know, Chris and his wife had a podcast about Disney World, so he knows a ton about Disney.
I know a lot about a lot of things that are
It's true.
pointless.
He's a master of none.
I'm a master of none. You want to ask me stuff about pro wrestling or Disney? I got you.
I do want to go back a little bit because some stuff happened before they talked about food. So they talked about Kittyland. Did you catch the name of the ride that was open back in the early 20s?
No, no. What was it?
It was called the Kitty Tickler. I read that. I heard that. I was like, what?
That was the mini turtles.
Huh? Huh? The mini tickler?
That was the mini turtle one, wasn't it?
No, I don't remember. It looked like I think the Tumblebug was the old little turtle one, but I know the 1920s and 30s were a lot different than today, but man, the kitty tickler, come on, man.
Just and the way that Rick Sebak just delivers it, just like the kitty tickler. Like
So funny.
he's so good at delivery. And just
Uh,
like the other one, his other delivery, talk about back in the days, just like the Noah's Ark, and then the air would be blowing up the women's skirts, and then they just talk to an old guy. Yeah, I was just chasing girls back in the day.
Y'all had yourself some fun times. So this is the guy I was telling you about. Harry Henninger, but everyone calls him Henny, was the vice president in 1988. He's the one who recently posted something about how Kennywood Park helped Disney.
Okay, yeah, definitely send me that. I wanna read that.
I will for sure. We'll post it too. We'll put the link to it as well. They do talk about the little turnpike. And do you remember the turnpike at all?
Yeah, I remember it. It was a good time. So the auto race is the one where you can feel like in the steering wheel. I don't remember if the turnpike was like that though.
It was, but it wasn't as like you couldn't feel it as much.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I remember it. I remember there was a lot of nostalgic things, just like oh look, Sunoco or something like that, or like PA Turnpike or PennDOT. So that's all I remember from the Turnpike. I'm okay that they got rid of it because they had that auto race, and then they got the Turnpike, and then they have another mini one. So it's like it's a lot of rides about cars.
Yeah, Pittsburghers don't like change though.
Yeah, I know.
I'm with them.
Speaking of change, watching the videos of the log jammer. Wow,
Oh, right in the heart.
I remember almost everything about that. And they said to compete with other theme parks, which I'm thinking they were talking about. I don't remember when Splash Mountain opened in Disney, but it was definitely in the 90s. So I don't know. Maybe that inspired that. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, it's the log jammer was a classic. It was a like quintessential. If you were hot, you were the log jammer or the what's the other water ride?
Pittsburgh Plunge
What's the
or
other water ride?
Raging Rapids.
Thank you, Raging Rat. I don't think it's Pittsburgh Plunge is like fairly new, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe that went with the pool. I don't know.
Oh, man, so there's a scene where Carl Hughes, who was the president of Kennywood at that time, he compared it to Tivoli in Copenhagen. He compared
Okay.
Kennywood to that.
Yeah, yeah, because of the how naturey it is and everything like that.
In the background, there's a windmill. Do you remember seeing that windmill? It's like right when you walk under the bridge, and like there's that little like popcorn stand there, and there's that windmill that sits right behind it.
Yeah, I don't know the point of that windmill.
You're ready for a deep dive?
Here we go. All right, go ahead.
So the windmill in the background was built in 1921, moved to Pittsburgh in 1940, and it's copied from a similar attraction in Coney Island, Cincinnati, Ohio. It was included in an oil painting by a famous artist named John Kane, he painted it calling it Scottish Day at Kennywood, and it is at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and I found it on the historical marker database.
Well, that's interesting. Is that the only thing that's keeping that random windmill there? Like, is Dollywood going to do something with this? Like,
I mean, it's basically a historical landmark. That's why it's been there all this time.
Oh, there is a sign near there. Like that and like the sign of George Washington like on a horse.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, no, that the log jammer, that was also very cool to see and just, nostalgic, like waiting in line, going up and down the steps and just like, you know, I don't know, just very nostalgic for me. I don't know what other note I
Uh, the Super Roundup that's at Idlewild. Do you remember riding that ride?
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. The one where you go in circles.
You stand, yeah, but it's a standing ride. Like you stand there, you don't have like a belt or anything. You just like the force just pushes you back against the wall.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know. I just wanted to go down that road,
Okay.
but it was cool. I like that ride a lot.
Well, I know in Idlewild, there's like a small section where it's like the roundup, tilt-a-whirl, and one more ride. But there was always like the whip, and there was always just rocks. Like there was no like pavement to get down there. It was just straight up rocks.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was oh man.
I hope they fixed that. That's dumb.
We'll have to break down Idlewild sometime too and talk about our memories there.
I know we're getting close to summertime. I gotta make some stops at places.
There you go. We went to anyway. Okay, getting off of Idlewild. Oh, the old cartoon was cool. The come and have fun.
The what?
The hey 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 come and have fun.
Oh
There's a
yeah,
place to
and they had a group of teens like sing a whole song.
They sure did. It was so cool.
Like I didn't know Kennywood did that kind of advertising. Well, I guess that was advertising for the days too, just like catchy melodies.
That's true, and they killed it. I love that song. It was so catchy.
Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, I remember that. They also mentioned Kennywood's Open, which is the your fly is down.
Yeah, I tried looking up where it came from, and no one knows. It just kind of happened one time.
Yeah, because it was just a thing. Like we'd be in school and it'd be like Kennywood's Open, like some snotty nosed person just being like Kennywood's open, and I'm just like oh my zipper's down. And, hey everyone, Kennywood's open. And I'm like, oh my god.
I so couple other things. I didn't go into the history of the old mill because it's just there's so much history with it.
What is the title of it in that documentary?
In the documentary in 1988, it was called "Hard-Headed Harold's Horrendously Humorous Haunted Hideaway."
So I think Old Mill is a better title.
I also wrote that guy actually said canoodling.
So is that why when we went on the Old Mill, that's why Harold and that storyline was happening?
I'm pretty sure because that was like part of his little horrendously humorous haunted hideaway.
That was his gimmick.
That was his thing. It was his get.
That was his get. So, okay, that's interesting. I don't know why they would name it that. Like everyone just being like Harold's not even a walk around character. Like they just named it that. Like we did meet the walk around characters, Kenny Kangaroo, which the two girls did. What was the other one? The pink fuzzy looking guy.
Oh, I had that stuff written down for the other Kennywood episode. I don't have it now.
Whatever. Like they do have walk around characters, so I'll have to look that up. But I don't think I can continue talking about this documentary unless I talk about our heritage, which is Italian Day.
Oh, baby, Italian Day. What a my god. It was amazing.
In the documentary, how about that guy that was straight up Italian and his shirt that had like hair coming out of the top of it?
Man, quintessential Italian Yinzer.
Straight up going to everybody, kissing their cheek, like, "Oh, how you doing, Gino?" And just going around.
Pizza oven. They were drinking wine and they had a pizza oven. What?
Don't know why. How did they transport the pizza oven? Like nowadays, like if Kennywood's just like if you bring in something where it's like the size of like a small purse, or like you got to put it back in your car. But like they were bringing in coolers and
Yes.
pizza ovens, and it wouldn't surprise me if they brought a keg with them.
Keg of wine. Oh my gosh. Oh, and they were all dancing and having the time of their lives. When we were kids, that's what like Italian parties were.
So I tried looking up to see if they still do Italian days, Because when I worked at Idlewild and they had the Italian days there, they said that was like their busiest day.
I'm
And
sure.
it sure was. That was the longest shift I've ever worked in my life. I think it was like 14 hours. And it was fun. It was a really fun time. There was like a 30 minutes I was able to sit down and like, oh, come on, have a ravioli. Like, and they just fed you, which as every Italian family would. But I tried looking up special events in Kennywood, and it was like the Fall Fest or the Fantasy Parades or what is it? Now they do Bites and Pints, which is a future episode, which I'm gonna have to do. And then I didn't see anything about Italian days.
Unless they moved it to Idlewild, that would be disappointing if they stopped doing it altogether, though.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully they still do Italian days. I'm actually flying through my notes faster than I thought. So
They also had Scotch Nationality Day back in those days too.
yeah, I thought that was very interesting. Where they had like the bagpipes and they were probably playing like the Scottish games. Like, have you ever seen the movie Luck of the Irish?
I have, yes.
Remember before they play the basketball game, they do the random games where they're like throwing javelins and like
Oh
throwing
yeah.
rocks and everything. I feel like they did that back in the days before they could be like, oh yeah, don't do that. That'll hurt you.
There is down here in North Carolina called but Grandfather Mountain. They do the Scottish games still, and it's all the traditional Scottish games from Scotland, from like way back in the Highlander days. So that is something that is very dangerous. And maybe Kennywood was like, "Ooh, our insurance can't cover this anymore."
You know what else? This is random too. When I worked at Idlewild, they did a thing called Battle of the Barrel. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
They have volunteer fire departments come and they have this long zip line basically, and there's a barrel in the middle and on a wire, and it's on like a carabiner, so it could go back
Oh,
and
okay.
forth. So the fire departments, they all get a hose and they hit the barrel with the hose and try to get it on their the other side.
Is it like a tug of war almost?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Idlewild's more fun. We're going to Idlewild.
And I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yeah, but the Scottish thing was really cool. The last couple things I have is the shooting gallery is gone. Rest in peace.
No, is it really?
It's now like a little race car thing, which is weird. But like,
Okay.
I like the people that they were interviewing there, and they just did not put the guns down.
Hi, Rick. Yeah, we're busy.
They were still holding it, and they're just like, "Yeah, we love Kennywood." It's just like you could set that down to talk to us.
Oh man, I can't believe it. It was cool seeing all the old games, like the ball you had to throw into the cups, but it was like a big thing of cups, and it just has to bounce around until it hits a colored cup. That was cool.
That was cool. Last couple things. The delivery of the Thunderbolt, the king of the coasters. Like that's one of my favorite deliveries in that documentary.
Rick, if you're listening, please don't ever stop doing what you're doing because, man, the epic, absolutely epic with everything you do. But that was amazing.
So, and then also the chronological filming that he talked about when we interviewed him, I kind of saw it in that documentary because the last two notes I have is like Kennywood at night and the chronological filming. They kind of they said it in the one other short documentary that they did, either that Kennywood Summer or the other one, where they actually was with the Altar Boys.
Yes, yeah, I had it in my notes.
For a very long, for like the whole day basically, and I can see that chronological filming because they started with them in the day, like, oh, we just basically come here for girls, as they're like putting their hair back, and then finally they're at night on the wave swinger. And also the very non-licensed songs that I liked, or it was just like, you make my head go round or something.
Back in those days, there was no such thing as licensing. They just put whatever song on. It was amazing.
And like them hitting on the girls on the wave swinger before it started going and everything. And the iconic view of the girl, her eyes going back and forth, sitting in the wave swinger thing.
That was a little unsettling.
It was a little unsettling, but I thought it was cool. But I guess the last of my notes, I want you to continue your stuff. But any memories of Kennywood at night?
I was going to actually bring that up because the Nighty Night song is something that's engraved in my brain. And I know they didn't play it on the documentary, but I looked it up after I watched it, and it was like immediately I was like, I'm tired.
It's like they only play that song when Kennywood is closing. So it's like after the microburst, they're just like, time to go home. Someone died on the whip. Time to go home.
Oh man, but no, that's that. Riding the roller coasters at nights, like nowadays, riding the Phantom's Revenge, like it's like a you have to ride it at night if it's nighttime. But Thunderbolt was cool too because there weren't that many lights on, so it was really dark the whole time.
Thunderbolt, the king of the coasters. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I guess my memories at night, I don't go to Kennywood at night very much anymore because I'm such an anxious person. I want to get there like first thing in the morning. But when I was a pass holder, like I would just. The only times I've been at Kennywood at night is Fright Night. And the most recent time I've been there at night, I can't even tell you. It's been a long time.
I feel like it's more of a thing when we were kids because we just didn't want to leave.
Yeah, it definitely was because we were just there for 14 hours and just like, well, I don't even think it's open 14 hours. Like 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I feel like it used to be open till like 11, but I think it latest is 10 o'clock now.
I think it was open till 11, and then it's some kids started to get into some trouble at night, so they started closing it earlier.
Oh yeah, gotta ruin it for everybody.
But I mean, dude, I remember going to the picnic area, getting a chip chopped ham sandwich, ham barbecue sandwich with some chips, and guzzling down a Mountain Dew, and then going right back into it. Like we just didn't stop.
Nah, but yeah, I like Kennywood at night. The next episode we'll do for Kennywood will probably be like Bites and Pints, and I will go there. I'll take Carissa with me. We'll try some booths out, and yeah, I'll stay there till nighttime. I will make that promise right now.
Special guest Carissa coming.
Yes, special guest Carissa coming. So, any other notes you have?
Yeah, just a couple. I promise won't. Just a couple minutes, because just a couple of historical notes.
Yeah,
In 1987, Rick had said the U.S. Department of the Interior recognized Kennywood Park as a National Historic Landmark. I thought that was cool.
which is rare from what I heard.
Very rare. It's one of the only parks or amusement parks that have that. So that was cool. Do you think night rides are scarier or are day rides scarier? Or does it not really matter?
What do you mean by that? Like, are you talking about dark rides, or are you talking about like rides at night, or rides in
Let's say you're riding the Pittsburgh Plunge. Not Pittsburgh Plunge. What's the one that would go straight up in the air and just drop right down?
Pitfall?
Let's say you're riding the Pitfall. Scarier at night or during the day? Does it not matter?
Okay, I know what you mean now. I thought you meant like, are dark rides scarier? I'm like, no, I don't think hard-headed Harold scared me at all. Even though when the Gold Rush was there, that ride did scare me before it turned into Kennywood Estates or Kennyville, something like that. The Ghost Ride,
Oh, I think it's Kennywood Estates.
the Haunted Mansion ripoff. That one.
Yeah. No, the Gold Rush was creepy, but the newer one is scarier, but it's more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Riding at night's more scarier because you don't know where you're going.
I agree with you. The one more thing I wanted to bring up. So shoot, I had his name. Hold on. The guy that
Don't worry, I'll riff for a second, so you have time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Kennywood Bites and Pines, I'll definitely be sure to do that because there were different booths, and how they do it is just like there's booths from different countries, kind of like how Epcot's food and how Epcot is in general. So it was really cool. I mean, there was like a Caribbean section, and there was like China and Mexican. So yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome. The guy's name was Arthur Turner. He was the pianist that they called Beethoven.
Yes, and and of course, I said it wrong the first time I saw it, because I went back to figure out what the name of that instrument was, and I'm trying to find it because I don't remember how to say it.
Calliope.
Calliope. I did not say that. I was like Calliope, and then like I rewound it.
Rewound it.
And then yeah, then I learned how to pronounce it. But no, very fun documentary. I enjoyed it.
I really did too. I mean, I have a bunch of other notes, but I feel like we covered most of it. I remember the events that they would do, the shows, quote unquote, where the dude gets exploded in the one scene.
And the voice of Kenny would announce it. He's like, "We're gonna set him on fire in 5, 4, 3," and the guy's probably like, "What? 3, 2, 1."
Just his
Up,
limp
he's
body is
startled.
being dragged away.
And did you hear the guy who was like, "Up, he's startled, but he's okay." It's like, was this entertainment?
They used to have like other stuff. Like I feel like when we were kids, they would have bands play, they would have shows, they would have so much stuff, and it was always so much fun. Like people would just stand around that lake and just sit there and watch. And I don't know if they do that stuff anymore, which is disappointing.
No, they used to have I remember a long time ago, they had a night show, and it was like lasers and fire. Like they used to have stuff set up fire wise. And a very specific memory I have is they played Fallout Boy. Light 'em up, light 'em up. I said, fire! Like, as soon as they said that, like, all the fire went up in the sky. It was like, oh my god.
Dang, Kenny.
They do have a drone show now, so that would be fun.
That would be fun. The last note I have, just Rick Sebak, thank you for 30 years ago making this documentary. It was the highlight of what we would get ready for with Kennywood. It was the highlight of everything. I know so many generations of kids who have watched this and look back on it, and their parents tell them this is how Kennywood was. So, just your service to Pittsburgh could never be matched. Amazing.
Yes, and we are waving at the camera right now, and you could just wish you could wave back.
It's such a good line. Such a hard line.
No, that line goes hard, as the young kids say.
It goes hard in the paint.
Yeah. But yeah, those are all my notes. Kennywood Memories, solid. 10 out of 10. I enjoy it. I'll definitely watch it if I'm sick and need chicken noodle soup. Like, I'll definitely watch that.
Yep. 10 out of 10 spandex wearing 80s teenagers.
Which they did mention that. They were just like, yeah, it's like, remember I'm sorry. I know we're at the closing point. But do you remember the Kenny Kangaroo people, and the one costume character grabbed the guy's overalls and like pulled him back?
That was amazing. The stuff you can get away with back in those days.
Yeah, and she was just like, yeah, it all depends on like the trend of people and like what they're wearing. A lot of people are in spandex, which led to that Madonna comment. So yeah, I had a great time. Yeah, I said everything I wanted to in the beginning. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Apple Music.
Yeah,
potato patch smash.
Potato And thank you guys so much for listening. I know we got some love from the Greensburg episode. Shout out to a very avid listener of ours named Adam. You know who you are, Adam. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate every single like and listen that you do.
Yeah. So yeah. Until next week, I am Chris.
I am JJ.
And we'll see yuns real soon.